Hello everyone, welcome to Think Like Mama. Today we have a lovely guest. She's the author of Raising from the Dust. She's an entrepreneur and she's also a mama.
And she's here to share with us how she balances all those different roles in one and the same person.
So tell us, Fauza, how was to make the decision to start writing a book when you already have your own business, when you already have a family to take care of and a child to raise?
I felt rejected and my world turned around when I was a teenager, when you are trying to find your place in the society and in the cultures that you live in.
Yeah.
One of the Christmas, my husband bought me a book from Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. It is after reading Louise Hay's book that I felt compelled. And because I was trying to reconcile the reasons of my birth that created family division, that I felt there is a girl somewhere in the world, some girl who maybe she might be also, he or she might be going through similar journey, becoming vulnerable, to go and opening the cabinets and writing the story.
Interesting. Very nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, first of all, on that. I think it's a great feat
Thank
to be
you.
able to open up to the world like that and, like you say, make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
When we think about it as a mom, there's so many elements to your day.
Yes.
How did you kind of plan the process of writing a book? Because it's not something that you just get up and
Yeah,
you just sit down and
definitely,
like, okay, today I'll write it. Like,
No,
how
it's-
did you think about, okay, when can I make time? When can I, what is a nice process for me and my family to be able to still care for them and be able to follow that dream of yours?
Honestly speaking, I always say there is a book in everyone, but the hardest thing is how to get it out. But the most important thing is finding a balance. It's all about balancing because you don't want to focusing on one and the other one is going down, because at the end of the day, for me, what I think what matters most is my family. But the good thing is my husband has been part of this journey ever since.
Yeah, that's important. I
So
imagine.
he is actually one of my editor before the manuscript went to the professional editors. And every time he used to ask me, what do you want people to learn from this? Because it's not all about what has happened, it's about how did you get out of this.
Yes.
So balancing, and then what I found, it really worked well for me. I work a lot during the day. When Jasper is in school, then that's when Mama does her things.
Of course.
So that's how I have done it. Of course, it took longer than I personally expected. I thought after 1 month I'm gonna have a book on my hand.
That's ambitious. Yes. Yeah.
No,
Of course.
it took 3 years.
Wow.
So it's a process.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
balancing, but also prioritizing. It's more about what is more important now and what do I do next.
Yeah.
And then when we find the balance, everyone is different, because what works for me, it might be slightly different for you, Nina, for you, Romi.
Absolutely.
So it's finding the balance between our families and what works well for each individuals in their houses. That's how I have been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's excellent, and I love to hear that you do have into consideration the members of your family at all times, in terms of school runs, in terms of putting your husband to read the manuscript. I think that's great. So for Casper, how old is Casper now?
He's 8.
He's 8. Fantastic. So you have that time when he's at school, you
I do my
work,
things.
then you have your own time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, in your story, I have read your book, and let me tell you to the audience, Fauza tell us about her personal story, her personal challenges, how she managed to get out of a lot of struggles in life. So some of the stories that you read throughout her book, they are very powerful and intense. So in terms of Casper reading your book, did you brief him in advance of the stories that he was going to find in the book?
So he was still very young for him to understand. However, what I've actually done when the book was published, before the book actually was published, I started talking to him,
Nice.
telling him that, okay, Mommy, she's doing this. And he actually realized, because I remember one of the summer holidays we were together in Cyprus, and sometime when I put him to bed, my husband was working in Dubai, so I had my mommy time, of course. So then when Jasper was sleeping, I was then working in the night. So then he realized, and then he asked me, you are typing a lot. What are you doing? You know, because
So
he was
cute,
5 years going to 6. So then I explained to him, I said, Mommy, she's writing her book. And he got very curious, and he said, oh, so what is the book all about? And I said, it's Mama's personal journey.
Yeah.
And he said to me, that's very interesting. He directly said it will help other people, especially in Africa. That was his actually reaction.
Wow.
Yes. And of course he was still young for him to understand, but he's 8 now. So what I'm doing, we've started reading to him the book, the story, assuming he didn't know me, so that he could also understand that we all have a story. Briefing him, I would say yes and no, but now he understands what the book is all about, and
which is the aim, right? That he's aware of what other people are going to be reading about you.
Yeah.
I have not read your book, and I'm very looking forward to reading it. Of course, we're going to put the details below. Now, my question is this. If it's a book that is so personal, and where there's, from what I gather and from what Romi told me, other members of the family involved and other people that are known by the family involved, were you concerned at all about how family members would take the fact that you are putting your journey out there, putting your story out there? And if so, how did you deal with that?
That's a very good question. You know what? There will always be people, they will always say things. I mean, I have been called names even before I wrote the book. So for me, how I look at it now, of course, I've become vulnerable, like I said, because I opened up my cabinets and I've let the feathers flying out there. It's a personal choice, you know, and each member of the family has their own story.
Yeah.
I chose to share my journey. And of course, it may feel a little bit uncomfortable to other people, but I believe stories needs to be told. And yes, there will always be people who they will say things, but at the end of the day, it's not on my power, because I cannot control what everyone says.
Yes.
And everyone has a voice.
Yeah.
Everyone has choices to make in life, and it's personal. And at the end of the day, I cannot do anything about what other people want to think about, because it's the choices that they make in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's up to them. But if they're gonna feel like, why did she do that? Then I don't think it has anything to do with me.
No, it has nothing to do with you. It is their reaction.
Yeah.
And we can't control, like you say, other people's reactions. And I think we need to always remember, we're the only ones who can speak our truths. We're the only ones who can live our truths.
Yeah.
And that's why we're kind of obliged to follow on that journey and to speak and live our truth.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love that point of view of separating what others feels of what I'm living today, that it's really not our business how others react or feel about, in this case, your own journey. I think it's very smart move.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, look, for me, the women have really gave me the you know, the energy, you know, to really want to be vulnerable. I mean, look to Oprah Winfrey, look to Louise Hay, look to Joyce Meyer. I mean, they talk about these things. And we can all be coward and shatter, but at the end of the day, maybe someone needs to hear that.
And maybe someone can learn from that, and I think that leads right away into our next question.
Yeah.
Actually.
We're interested to know, for Casper, do you give him any, I think you have shared already with us that you do in daily basis.
Yeah.
Is there any specific teachings that you feel from the book he could take into his adult life?
What I always say to him is, you are born with a purpose. It's not actually mama or papa to define that, because each individual has God-given gifts. It's our responsibility as parents to guide our children, but I still think that when they're 18, 20, it's okay, they can also make choices.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, my prayer for him is to fly and to soar like an eagle. I don't want him to be restricted by where he comes from, what people will say about him, because those, for me, those are limiting thoughts.
Absolutely.
They are limiting thoughts, and they block the good that you should have.
Yeah.
So if we educate our children to think positive, and then affirming to them that we are there, and no matter what everyone else says about you out there, when you are home, this is a safe haven, I think they're gonna be whatever they can be, because there is no limitation in life.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It does come from within and from the foundation that we decide to put in our children.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it's such a brave attitude that you have as well, because I think as parents we're so easily, how do I say this, scared for our children, and we obviously want the best for them, and
Yes.
it's the easier path and the path of less resistance to predefine, to take away some of the dangerous options, to navigate for them. And I think it's so brave of you to understand that you are here to support a journey and to guide a journey, but the person that determines the direction is your son.
Yeah.
And I think that's that, you know, I can just repeat.
I mean,
myself,
we
it's so
all
brave.
we all have made choices in our lives, isn't it? And we learn as we grow, you know. And sometimes, if you don't try, you never know. I mean, look at you, ladies, Nina and Romi, what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's. I think history repeats itself.
So from this like very
Deep.
conceptual and deep thinking
Yes.
to a much more banal sounding question.
Yes.
Lead your business and follow your passion of being a writer and somebody who motivates and inspires other people. What does your day look like?
I have a whole. My day actually is very busy. Okay, I'll give an example like today, right?
Okay.
So I woke up. So it's Saturday. Jasper has athletics in Sport City.
Okay.
Okay, he needs to be there by 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Sport City, and then came back, left him at home. Of course, I'm grateful. I have a nanny. Yeah, and then I went for yoga because Mama needs to take care of herself. Otherwise, I always say you can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna share. But on the weekdays, I wake up by 6 o'clock, get Jasper ready for school, bring him to school, come back home. I do yoga twice a week, and once a week I have to go to the gym for a little bit of stretching out. I believe in self-care, because for me self-care means self-love. And if I don't make time to take care of myself, I won't be able to take care of anyone in the house.
Amen to that.
Yeah, so I manage my time. Most of my things I do when Jasper is at school. And of course, husband is working, so husband comes back home later in the evening. Of course, I make sure dinner is ready too. So what I do before school pickup, I prepare dinner.
Okay.
So that when I pick him from school, because we have after school activities, right?
Of course.
So we get home. Yes, we have homework to do also. So we sit down for 30 minutes, we do homework, okay?
Yeah.
Because we get the homework weekly. So we do the homework, and then in the car, after school activities. So when I get back home, now I finalize dinner, and dinner is served.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. And by what time is Jasper in bed?
Depending with the timings of the activities, but latest normally is 8 o'clock, 8:30. So that
Brilliant.
he has energy for school the next day.
And you have time for
And I have
yourself
time
and your
for-
husband.
Yes.
Right in time, yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
And husband, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you're writing your second book, yeah?
Yes.
So which one are the lessons that stick with you the second time around?
That is a very interesting question. Well, writing a book, it looks very easy, but there is a lot of work to put into place. And because I chose to do self-publishing, so you kind of, you need to put a system in place. You need to know who is going to be the book designer, the graphic designer. You need to know who is going to do the editing, the proofreading, the what's the page setting.
Yeah.
You know, and you have now the professional editors. So it's a lot of work.
Of course.
I learned that you will never be ready and you will not know everything. You learn as you go. And every time a challenge sets up, you're like, okay, there you are, big giant monster, that how do you go past those blocks? Because it's not easy.
Of course.
You can have the book ready, and you don't have a distributor. But what I've learned now and then also the other thing that I did, I think, was I started with the book instead of the marketing first. So the book was ready. I had no marketing. I had no publication. I had no media. But I didn't know. For me, I was like, I'm gonna just write this baby. I mean, I was pregnant for almost 3 years, you know, bathing, rising from the dust. And when the baby was out there, I was like, okay, the book is here.
What do I do?
But what am I doing now? I had only 3 books, copies. I didn't know where I was gonna print. I didn't know anything much. But I learned as I stumbled, as I grew. And now I have all the system in place.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's basically what's saving you maybe also some time this time around. That
Absolutely.
you've learned your lessons and you have these systems in place and you know which way to end and which way to start and what to do in the middle, and you can kind of schedule your work around that a bit better. And I'm sure new challenges will come up with the second book.
Oh, for sure.
And you'll take them in stride.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the next book in the future, when you think about, and maybe this is also a moment for you to speak about your other business. When you think about new business ventures or new business ideas or the future of your business or your author platform, how much do you direct and how much do you let your family be part of the decision making?
That's a very good question, Nina. I have to say my husband he's my investor, like literally.
I want an investment.
So everything I do, babe, come, sit down, we discuss. What's more important? Do we need it now? What can we do first? Yeah? So it's about balancing again. Yeah, because it's not all about me, it's about us.
Your family.
Yes.
I love that approach.
Yeah, it's nice.
And because everything I take out, it's from us.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's prioritizing and knowing, do I want to put this money here? What do I want to do with this? And but I always involve, especially my husband.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. In terms of, there's so many careers choices out there these days. For Jasper, do you see any trends following your footsteps as a writer?
Oh, this child. I don't know. You know what? He's actually doing dancing now.
Okay.
And performing arts in school.
Brilliant.
He's a lovely child. I met Jasper and he's very animating, I have to say.
So really, I think he has his own personality. He just doesn't follow because he wants to try on his own.
Yeah,
good.
And for me, I think that's a very good personality trait to have, because when I look at my younger self, I didn't know anything when I was his age, and yeah, I mean, growing up in Africa, it's also a little bit different. I mean, we are raising our kids in this lovely country.
Of course.
You know, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
But I think he has his own personality, and sometimes I feel like he knows what he wants at his age already, because he said to me, writing a book takes a lot of time, Mom. so I think maybe I want to do something different. Yeah, so to be honest, I think he has his own character and personality, and we'll see what the future will bring. But for me, I want him to be who God has created him to be. Yeah, of course, we need to guide them as well.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to do things just for doing.
Yeah.
You know, because I know for myself, when I had to work, to take care of myself, I had to do something just for doing, because I needed to make money to take care of Fauza. But sometimes we end up doing those things, but they don't make us happy.
Of course, yeah. Big subject. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, for our mamas out there, if you had to give 3 tips, 3 pieces of advice on how to balance your family and your passion, what would be 3 concrete things that some of our mamas out there could pick up and could work with?
Mamas, what I want you to know is you are able. You are capable, because you are born a woman, and a woman can do anything when they put their minds into. There is no limit. Just because we are raising kids and taking care of the household and, you know, following our passion, following our dreams, following our goals, you can still juggle it up. It's all about time managing, balancing, prioritize. But always remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself first.
Beautiful.
Because if you have the energy to take care of yourself, then you can be able to share that positive energy to the people around us. But what I want you ladies to know, you are amazing, and you are fierce, and you can do this. There is no limitation. I mean, our kids will grow, and this is how I look at it, Nina. They grow, and then 50 years later we are there, and we look back and we're like, we start regretting. No, we don't want that. Because I think to be born a woman, it's because we have the strength to do. I mean, look in Africa, you go to the farm, you put a baby on your back, you dig in, you go home, you go get water, you come back home, you make sure there is firewood, you make sure the food, you know, we can do this in style and with grace, and in red lipstick and in stilettos. We can do this.
Let's do it.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
really.
Fauza, thank you very much for being here. It was an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me, and my prayer for you, Romi and Nina, is that you're gonna continue with this legacy to help other people, because when we share our journeys, that's how we inspire one another. So continue with this interesting adventure that you have started.
Thank you.
It's a very interesting platform.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, and obviously we count on you mamas as well to spread the word about Think Like Mama. Please do subscribe, hit the notification button, the bell button to get all our updates. Find us on all our other social media. We're out on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we would really love to see you again. So to all the mamas out there,
See you soon.
bye!
Bye.